What's good, y'all? You dub back here again, here in 2019. Let's get it, bringing y'all more new, fresh content that nobody else is doing. Now, I did a video probably a week or two ago dealing with Hank Pym. If I were to write a comic series, at least the opening 5 arcs, which I'm going to do again here today with him. In this video, we're talking about the unseen, a character no one talks about. The unseen Nick Fury. Now, a lot of people are like, yo, is that some fan fiction character? No, 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 no. That's an actual character. We're not talking about the MCU Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson Black Nick Fury. We're not talking about the other Black Nick Fury, who I guess is based off of the Ultimate version, the 1602, 1601 universe. Anyways, not talking about them. We're talking about the classic super soldier, super spy that I grew up with, white eye patch Nick Fury. Okay. Now, for those who don't know, okay, and this whole point of these videos is because a lot of these characters aren't getting the proper respect. Now, I got asked to do other videos on how I write comic series, which I'm more than obliged to get to eventually. But these I'm starting off with characters who Marvel is just completely mishandling and underutilizing. And it's really sad and sickening because there's so much potential. Like with Hank Pym, that story I think was pure fire. That would be an all-time great Marvel story. Okay, especially with a character you unexpected. And this one, no pun intended, by the way. But this one, the unseen, they just have Nick Fury in literally limbo and no man's land. Dude, you've given Nick Fury practically the power of a watcher, of Uatu, because there's a whole thing. Uatu's dead. Nick Fury, because of his sins, the Watchers are punishing him, and he's just to watch the fate of the universe and the multiverse and just watch because he did wrong. That's the gist of what happened. Okay, they didn't kill him off, which I'm fine with. I am a fan of Nick Fury on the low. But they didn't do anything with him. Classic Marvel. We're just going to have you there for the hell of it. And then we're going to kill off characters who shouldn't die. Just saying. Just saying, Marvel. What the hell are y'all doing? Fuck. Anyways, so the last time we saw this man, which is when we saw him as the Unseen, chained to the moon, is that the whole Exiles, the new Exile scene, which I had bought, I believe, the first 2 issues. It was really cool. It was a really cool concept, especially if you're not used to that. But anyways, one of the mutants, she was pulled to the place by Nick Fury because he saw the impending doom of there was a force coming and eating multiple universes and ending timelines. So she went throughout the multiverse. I think she got Iron Lad. She got a version of Miss Marvel, the stretchy version that doesn't really use her powers. An older version, like it was like kind of like an X-Men post-apocalyptic version of her. Uh, she got different characters. Anyways, the point being that he foresaw it and he intervened, and I guess the Watchers weren't happy about that. But here's where I started off. Arc 1, the Loki arc. Come on now. Loki being involved is always a good thing, considering also they got some kind of history. But anyway, so Loki, you know, the unseen sees that the Watchers are going to be a problem. They're going to come for his head, da da da. They're going to look to pay retribution for his, you know, fopho, for his acting outside their wills. So Nick Fury, being the man with the plans, he finds a way to contact Loki. Loki gets Nick Fury out of there. Now Loki being exceedingly powerful, he goes through. This is issue 1, of course. They have a conversation. He takes him into hiding. And they go from there, start off camaraderie, but Loki's like, all right, you help me, I help you. And Nick's like, all right, so Nicholas Fury is like, all right, so what do you need? Loki like, I need you to kill him. We in there. Issue 2, you see the objective. Loki goes to a distant planet across the universe, and Nick Fury's back to seeming his regular self. Right? It's kind of this. See, I'm taking more of the espionage route. So Nick Fury is kind of in this slum situation. He's in hiding. He's observing and he's following. Even though he utilizes his omniscient nearly omniscient powers. He's going back to his old instincts. And here we learn more about Nick Fury, maybe get some flashbacks and to see more how he was trained, to see more how he came up, and kind of coinciding this. Anyways, you know, by the end of the second issue, we run into the person. All right. The issue number 3 has a good old conversation with Nick Fury. Nick Fury learns some things, and he's like, as expected, Loki's trying to trick me, trying to play me. This guy is a rebel leader. Okay. Loki, Nick Fury's like, Loki's either trying to trick me or he's trying to test my mettle to see what I'm about, to see if I'm worthy of, aid. And so Nick Fury, you know, opens up about kind of ish who he is to a degree and joins the cause of the Rebel Alliance. Issue 4. Loki Loki finds out, and Nick Fury had already deduced the situation. So as the issue goes on, we find out that Loki orchestrated this whole matter, because in a way, Nick isn't able to figure out exactly what, but he knows that Loki was being his trickster ways and whatnot, right? And so he goes and he helps the Rebel Alliance, but he brokers a peace after taking out the corrupt king. Okay. And so Loki returns and is like, very well done, Nick. I will help you in the future in your war against the Watchers. Let me know what you need. He's like, will do. I'll probably need an entire squad to take them down. Because there are multiple Watchers, and the Watchers are very powerful in case you don't know. Moving on to the second arc, the Shadows arc, issue 5. In this issue, Nick Fury, he had stayed on that planet uh, for a while to make sure peace was helped brokered and things of that nature. And after everything is good, he's looking to get to Earth and let's see how things are going because he foresee with this, his cosmic awareness that there's going to be a major calamity that befalls. Um, some of it's mutant involved, like there are three persons who will affect it. It's the It's the Mutant Jubilee. It's Luke Cage, and it is Mary Jane Watson. And he sees that it's going to occur, but there's something that's at play that's even stopping his vision. So he connects and he finds a way to get to Earth. Okay, and so he starts to do kind of detective work to find out, you know, Loki. Because let's be honest, when was the last time Marvel ever really did a detective series? I'm just interjecting that with an editorial. We don't get we get some in DC, which is great. I would you could use more. But when was the last time we didn't get just boom boom big fight? Like, can we actually get a character doing some kind of like low key detective work on a consistent series? I think that would sell. I think you have a lot of fans who would like that kind of thing, espionage and things of that nature. You know, but that's a whole other thing. This is espionage, as you can see. This Nick Fury's the unseen, even though he has this cosmic awareness and stuff. It's more of an ability that is passive that he can utilize to aid in his already his crazy skill set. He's got power, but he's not like we're not gonna make him godly powerful or anything like that. See what I'm saying? So, anyways, so Nick gets to Earth and he starts investigating. He starts to seeing, you know, okay, Mary Jane Watson, Luke Cage, and Jubilee, but he can't put two and two together how they all interrelated until he talks with Wolverine. Now, this is important because Wolverine is connected with everything, right? Wolverine is the mad connections. And he doesn't come out, Nick doesn't come out outright and says that Jubilee's in trouble. He is talking about as he heard anything on the other world. And what he has found, even though it doesn't seem all connected, for some reason or another, poking around, there was a name called Helix. Doesn't know what it means, and so all of them. There were some notes. Helix was interested in Luke Cage and had given him some work. Jubilee, she was hired for Helix to utilize her knowledge bases. Jubilee had gotten a master's in a certain field. Okay, and when it came to Mary Jane Watson, because of previous corporate dealings, because she's Stark Industries, Stark International, all of that. They wanted her business expertise, so that was the only connection he could find. At first, he didn't find anything, but then that name kept popping up. So he asked them about it, and Wolverine opens up about how dirty they are, and so but he warns Nick to keep on the low because it's more of a clandestine organization. Wolverine's like, I only know about it because I know some people who know some people. You know how Logan is. So Nick is glad about it. Anyways, in issue 6, you know, he goes through and he starts investigating this organization. Well, eventually he finds governmental contracts. He finds British governmental contracts, both American and British governmental contracts. He finds that this organization is not friendly with Wakanda. Uh, Namor isn't happy about this organization because they're not necessarily doing anything outright harmful to the planet, but they have some questionable dealings, and so Nick starts to piece things together. Anyways, he gets in touch with T'Challa, Black Panther. He gets in touch with Namor, and he talks with them about how things are. And they tell him the concern about this this organization toppling governments. They tell them, we don't trust what this person's gonna do. It's like, okay, and so espionage and where we at? Issue 7, where Nick is literally, going to old school, breaking into stuff, finding things. Pretty much, we get a whole espionage issue just to pay homage to the secret spy. And what he finds out is that this organization is planning to frame those three: Luke Cage, Mary Jane Watson, and Jubilee, and to cause an uprising, a plummet in the stock market, as well as use those three to frame for the vice president of the United States and the prime minister of Britain to get taken out. So coming in at issue 8, he does his dealings, and pretty much what happens is he goes to battle against this villain who has been in the shadows since the time of the Red Skull, and finally he's looking to make his move in a way that Hydra couldn't, that AIM couldn't, AIM and whatnot. Nick Fury defeats him, tries to get information out of him. The dude uses a psychic power to try to kill Nick Fury, but Nick Fury's pretty much immune to psychic abilities at this point. No telepathy and stuff. So the guy uses his own ability and turns it on himself to kill Nick, to kill him, commit suicide. Nick Fury's left in a very interesting place, but the place is starting to self destruct. Nick Fury was able to get some documents out of it, which leads into the next arc. Arc 3, the Lost Timeline arc. So, Nick Fury finds out that not only was this organization doing all of this, and he took out the main head of it so that, the organization should probably crumble, but they were looking into time space as well and look to see if they could capitalize on that kind of technology. And using his abilities, he sees that apparently there was a lost timeline to history. Okay. And so the Unseen goes and speaks with Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, and asks him what he might know about it. Now, Reed doesn't directly know, but so he contacts Dr. Stephen Strange. And Dr. Strange finds this fascinating because he doesn't know what's going on. So you have three very, very knowledgeable people that don't know what the hell is actually going on. Why would there be a lost timeline? Um, and so each of them go and do their own investigations. Reed does his, scientific dealings. Doctor Strange does his mystic dealings, and Nick Fury does what he does best. He goes and investigates on his Batman status. And so, he tracks down what Helix was studying. He tracks down different stuff. How did they gain this knowledge? And what he finds out after contacting them is they all discovered that there was distortion in space time. And the instability caused a masking of this specific timeline. Well, the Unseen goes and speaks with Charles Xavier. And he asks him to tap into his mind. Now Xavier's like that may not be the wisest thing, but the Unseen needs to better utilize his abilities. So, just heading into the next issue. What is it again? Issue 10, I believe. Anyways, so the Unseen, him and Doctor Strange go through his mind again. We get more flashbacks to how Nick Fury came up in different stuff and important moments. And the issue is just going through his character and understanding his motivations and understanding the good, the bad, the ugly of his character. And Charles Xavier is like, you have inhibitions right now because of your regrets, because of your guilt on how you handle certain factors. You have to address those things. You have to deal with them. When you were just on the moon, there was nothing blocking you. You were forced just to watch. But now that you're free, you're trying to become again who you once were. And you just can't do that. You have to grow, you have to evolve. And so, issue 11, Nick Fury, they get out of his mind space. Nick Fury accepts these things, and things become a hell of a lot clearer. And so, he thanks Charles Xavier and he goes. Nick Fury talks to, he talks with Reed Richards and Stephen Strange and says, I need you to send me into universe such and such, whatever the universe is. Let's say it's universe 341. All right. They find it strange and they say, what? I've now have a better utilization of my powers. And they say powers, and he explains the situation like, okay, but you have to be careful. And so Stephen Strange, and if this is connected with the Hank Pym comic, Stephen Strange is like, well, here we go again with another situation. So Stephen Strange opens a portal into that other universe. Now that specific universe is in parallel with the timeline of said universe. So said lost timeline. So that's why he went there. And Nick Fury explores and whatnot. And coming into issue 12, what he finds out is that the lost timeline is a cover up, in short, because of the Watchers. Okay? Which gives him more ammunition. In this universe, he finds a very, very powerful version of the Sorcerer Supreme. And why is this imperative? Because now he has both Loki and the Sorcerer Supreme, an old grizzled version of honestly himself. Yes, this is an old version of Nick Fury who, instead of becoming a super soldier, studied the mystic arts. Okay? And a Sorcerer Supreme Nick Fury? Ooh! But that Sorcerer Supreme is like your universe, Loki, and myself and yourself. As powerful as we may be, as capable as we might be, we need some assistance. So they jump to another universe. Okay, I say it's universe 66,666. Okay, jump to that universe, and they find a version of Nick Fury who is more or less he's an addict, but this addiction is kind of linked to his schizophrenia. He utilizes substance to stop the voices in his head. He's a mental case, okay? But he also has the inherent strength of Thor, okay? He's got the physical strength of Thor. He's pretty much immortal and a whole other things. And so they get his help. Now they have the squad, which heads into the fourth arc, the Watchers War arc. Now, they return to the main, 616 Marvel Universe. Nick Fury contacts Loki and he says, "It's time. I have some assistance." Loki, they meet up in a secret location. Loki's like, "Three Nick Furies, as if one wasn't enough." All right, so what's the plan? How do Nick Fury, the Unseen, says we need to take out the Watchers, and all of them are looking like, "What and why? Are you just on a revenge mission?" Oh, Nick Fury says, "Listen, they act as if they're gods. Plus, if we take them out, then that means other powers, other pieces will start to move, and his universe will be in a much safer location. How do you have so much power and you do nothing to protect people? You serve no purpose." The schizophrenic Nick Fury says, "I can't even argue that. It makes perfect sense. The other me is telling me they need to go." And so in the Loki's like, "It is what it is. I made a promise. Let's get it." The Source Supreme version of Nick Fury says, "It's look like me from this universe. He's been through a lot." Well, you have a good valid point. Let's do it. So, you know, they go and they see what they can do for preparations to take on, find and take on, as well as take down the Watchers. Now we flip over in issue. What are we at? Issue 14, I believe. We'll go to that issue 14, to where we get things from the Watchers' experience and Watchers' perspective and how they view the world, and we get that whole thing. Okay. Issue 15, the Watchers are having a meeting and they're having a discussion amongst themselves, and they said we should have been got rid of the threat of Nick Fury. One of the Watchers says, "But you know why we couldn't do that? Because it would have caused a greater rift in the multiverse." And the Watchers are like, "But we don't act." And then one of the Watchers said, "But we did act, and it caused us to have this problem." Loki approaches them. It's like, "I know about Nick Fury. I know where he's at. I can lead you to him if that's what you want." And the Watchers are like, "How do you know about him?" That's when explosions happen in the place. Sorcerer Supreme Nick Fury is like, "It's time for you all to vanish," and he sends them away. And where we at? Issue number 16. They open up in a neutral location, and you just have a great battle between the forces of Nick Fury and Loki versus the forces of the Watcher. Now, it, the battle's pretty crazy. And you can say, "Well, wait a second. The Unseen, does he have any powers?" Yeah, he has cosmic awareness and he's developing matter manipulation. Okay, at least enough to defend against the powers of the Watchers. But anyways, so they're having this battle, and eventually someone comes and stops it. And this is a version of Nick Fury from the future. Okay, and they're like, "What the hell?" And the Watchers are looking like, "Who are you?" This version of Nick Fury vanishes them. She just makes them gone. And Loki's like, all right, I'm out of here. This is getting too insane. He leaves. And the other Nick Furies are just like, this makes no sense. This version of Nick Fury is like, listen, I'm from a far future of that lost timeline that you were investigating, right? This universe version of Nick Fury. And it's like, huh, this is interesting. So they begin talking, and he's like, I was able to gain the powers of the gods, transcend beyond. And what I learned is that this universe is unstable. Nick Fury's like, what do you mean? He says, you all need to come with me. The sake of everything in reality is at play. Moving into the fifth arc, the Beyond arc. Now, some could say, well, didn't you go kind of crazy if they watched my video and Hank Pym? Didn't you go kind of crazy in that one? Cosmic stuff is fun. What can I say? It's Marvel. Let's investigate things. But this will go down a different form. So these entities, the different Nick Furies, you know, go to a place and go to the lost timeline. In the lost timeline, you see things are they're ever changing and it's distorted. Nothing remains the same. And this version, Nick Fury says, this is all in response to too much and too consistent of negligence that the powers that be that are supposed to be protecting the balance of the multiverse, they allowed for this to happen. And this isn't the only timeline that's been messed up. It's reality itself is continuously splintering. The more that the universe gets recreated, the worse things become. And this one we put at the feet of the Beyonders. And so the schizophrenic Nick Fury is like, so are you saying we need to make war in the Beyond realm? The Source Supreme Nick Fury is like, we don't stand a chance against that level of power. The Unseen Nick Fury says, but we do. We just need to gather more versions of ourselves. And so, in issue number 18, they began doing that. Um, they grab a version of Nick Fury that can wield Mjolnir. All right, they grab a version of Nick Fury that has the power, who's actually a mutant, who pretty much he's immortal, but he's immortal of the way to where his body just adapts to all things, all conditions. Um, they also grab a version of Nick Fury that aged to old age, but the super soldier serum's effects never fully let go. So they grab all of these three versions, okay? And in issue number 19, they go and talk to Owen Reach. They go and talk to Molecule Man and says, listen, we need to go to the Beyond realm. And Molecule Man's like, nope, can do. Not heading there. Why would you do that? You wouldn't survive there. And Nick Fury's like, listen, someone has to fix reality. And Molecule and him, the 616 unseen Nick Fury, have a lot of a deep philosophical discussion. And Owen Reese is adamant that he's not going to help them. It's like, okay. So they leave. Issue 20. Okay. Sorcerer Supreme Nick Fury's like, okay, if nobody's gonna help us, how are we going to figure out how to do this? The unseen Nick Fury says, well, let's use the powers of the Watchers. There was certain things that they didn't understand. There were certain artifacts that they have that they could have used but didn't to affect the universe and reality itself. And so they go to the meeting place once again of the Watchers, and they find a specific gem. The issue leads off there with Nick Fury looking into the gem and understanding the rest of the future. Unexpected one, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on this comic of Nick Fury. I kind of wanted to present a different take on in the Marvel landscape of story writing that we don't see too often, but utilize a lot of elements that are again underutilized. And I think Nick Fury with the espionage, with the detective work, with the conflict, multiple utilizing the multiverse and bringing different versions of himself would be very fitting with the evolution of his character at this point. How you go from, a grounded spy in World War II all the way up to a cosmic traveler. So, like I said, let me know. Let me know if you want any other versions. Like I said, a subscriber suggested some, and now we'll eventually get to them. Um, Definitely. All right, y'all. Peace.